What's going on, YouTube people? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me for part 24 of I am going to be taking Solihull Moors to the Premier League. This is it. This is the series finale. We're going to find out how this one will be ending. As I said, Football Manager 24 is now very, very close. So it's time to wrap up and start our preparation for FM24. Right then. In this episode, we are going to follow the same format as episode 23. This is a brand new season that has been completed. It's now 2031. It's 21st of May 2031, and we have gone through our second Premier League campaign. Are we going to finish higher than 13th in our first season? Are we going to get more than the 49 points? First thing, as always, we're going to start off with is the transfers, and you can see there is a lot of them. There was all sorts of crazy things going on at the club. We had a lot of money to spend coming into the final season, and we went and spent a lot of it. You can see straight away there was £54 million in this part, and that does include the previous seasons. But we spent a lot of that in the first part of this transfer window, and there is some still to come in the next part. So let's crack on with the players firstly who left the club. Looking on the right hand side, so starting off in June, we lost Adrian O'Hare. He went to Pacific FC for 115,000. Luke Iredale, who I've had high hopes for, he went to Forest Green, managed to get 220,000 for him. Didn't really pan out the way I wanted. As I said, I thought he was going to go on to good things. Didn't really happen. Went to Forest Green. Sol Bryn decided he wanted to leave. Liverpool started sniffing around. He asked to leave the club, so off you go. Matthew Waite, he has gone to Motherwell, £200,000. It's money better off in the bank. Again, he was a player who wasn't going to get through with the signings from the previous season, so we decided to move him on. Joaquin Salas is another one we had high hopes for. Chilean 22-year-old, went to Union La Calera. I think he's going to be a very good centre-back. Problem is he wasn't going to get past the players that we bought in the previous season, so once again decided to cut our losses and move him on. Alan Taylor went to Barnsley for £450,000, one of our Canadian imports, and another one that didn't cost any money but has bought us nearly £500,000 back. So in the first part then in June, that is the money we recouped. Let's see what we did with the money that we had to play with. So the first signing of the transfer window was Stephen Duffy, 22 years old, Scottish striker, absolute fantastic looking new gen. Could be a bit quicker in terms of his pace, but the acceleration is there. But that dribbling of 16, the finishing of 17, determination 17, flair 16, leadership 16. He really is set up to be a high quality player. Hopefully he will be a star and score us the goals that we need to get better than that minus 17 goal difference. Going on, Ronald Elaine. He is a player who I think came in from Crystal Palace. He's from Trinidad and Tobago. He is a centre-back who is going to develop, but looking at him, you can see straight away 6'2", his strength is 12, he has jumping reach, he has good marking, tackling, determination. This is another player that I think for the money that we paid is an absolute steal. If we look at it, £1.8 million from QPR, he should make the step up to the Premier League pretty easy. Next up was Amika Sampson. He's a player who can play anywhere across the defensive line, likes to play as a right back, and I think he's one that is really going to help us going forwards as well as in defensive situations with good pace, acceleration, he has good balance, he has good tackling, marking. Passing is only 10, so it could get a little bit better, but crossing is 11, so hopefully, as I said, he will help us in building down the right-hand side of the pitch. Next up, Pablo Garcia came from Liverpool FC, not that one, the one in Uruguay, and he is a striker who can also play on the right-hand side, but looking at his core attributes, pace of 13, acceleration 16, balance of 16, flair of 16, technique of 16, dribbling, finishing are all off the charts. He's another one that if he gets in the team, I think he will start to score a lot of goals. And the money that we paid is an absolute snip. The next one is Sol Bryn's replacement. It's Bruninho. He has come to us from Fulham. he's another Brazilian that has signed for Solihull Moors. We are now collecting quite a few of them in the Midlands. But he kind of speaks for himself. He's a goalkeeper who at 22 years old is only going to improve, and he already has a core set of good attributes for goalkeeping. 6.75 million, that one could be a snip. And the final player in June was Marcus Tavernier. He's a player who we brought in for a bit of experience, really, and when you look at his player map, he could play pretty much anywhere. He could play on the right, could play on the left, could play through the centre, various positions. I think he's a player who will slot in, hopefully bring a bit of experience to all of those wonder kids. So that's through June. What happened in July and beyond? There are more players who came in. There are more players that left. Again, starting off on the right side, there is a lot of loans that went out. But Amadou Diallo finally left the club. He has gone to Millwall. He spent the best part of the last 2 seasons complaining about game time because he couldn't beat Springett for that left wing slot. But we moved him on. Not a problem. I think we picked him up on a free transfer anyway, so we have recouped £600,000 for him. That is a good deal. The next player that left was David Martinez, player who came in last season to be a bit of a defensive structure to bring a wise head to our backline, but he got upset with a few players that arrived and didn't really want to be at the club, so we decided to allow him to move on. And once again, £4.3 million. We made an actual loss there of £5.7 million, but it was one of those when the time's right, the player can move on. Moving into August, there were plenty of other loans, but the next one to leave for cash was Dan O'Brien, another American that we bought in on a free transfer, and another one who we have managed to sell on for money. So at the start of the save, when we were doing that method of going to America, signing young players, developing them and moving them on, that's exactly what we were doing it for. Right then, so that's the right side of the screen done and the players that have left the club, but there were more players to join the club. Starting off at the top, as you can see, we got Emre Tezgal. He's a wonder kid in this game and we managed to get him for nothing. Brighton somehow allowed him to run his contract down and we just went and took him on. I think it's a absolutely fantastic signing. Nothing to lose. We now have signed 3 awesome strikers. If we don't score more goals this season, it will be an absolute crime. So that is a great way to start off July. Next, we signed Scott Sims from Liverpool. He's a right back, and he's one of the other reasons that some of the right-sided players couldn't get into the team, because we went out and bought this player. I think he's an absolutely fantastic prospect at the age of 23. He's only going to get better, and he only cost us nothing. Another free signing, and another fantastic one at that. Aldo Cruz was another free signing, and he's the one that came in really to replace David Martinez, another left-sided defender who can basically be cover or one of those wise heads at the back, and he can guide our wonder kids hopefully to becoming a better player. Up next is Callum Edmonds. Callum Edmonds. He's an attacking midfielder who plays on the right, can also play as a striker, can play as an attacking midfielder. So when we have a few different positions that we needed to use throughout the season, he could take up quite a number of roles, and he actually became quite a key player in this team, and you'll see why in a little bit when we move on to the next phases. Up next was Stefan Siwi. Stefan. He comes in as a centre-back or a defensive midfielder, and another one of those players who we have just picked up for nothing and could go on to be absolutely anything. 23 years old, described as a centre-back. Look at the physicals. Teamwork 16, determination 20, tackling of 13. Not too sure how players like that are available on free transfers, but we will take it. So the final 3 signings, the first one was the last one of July. It was Callum Doyle, former Manchester City and Coventry City player. Basically came in as a bit of a rotation option because we'd lost a few defenders, but we thought we have the money, we might as well go and buy a player who is homegrown and can rotate in and out of the team. So we paid £8.5 million for him. So that was up until July. The final 2 signings of the series are from Ipswich Town. Tom Phillips for £7.25 million. Another player who can play in a number of positions. Central midfield is where I prefer him to play, but he can also play as a right-sided winger if we play a tactic that goes in that. Or he can fit into that position. And then the final signing is Danny Frentzen. He's Dutch, 20 years old, plays as a defensive midfielder. Needs a bit of developing, but he does have those core stats that you can see that are really going to hold him in good stead for when he does develop. So we have spent a lot of money, a lot of investment went into the team to try and get us further up the table. But the question, as always, did it work? So clicking on the competitions tab, once again you can see we are not inside the top half, and once again we have finished in 13th place, absolutely mirroring last season. The only difference is we have got a worse goal difference, but we do have 1 point more. So breaking it down, we played 38 games, we won 14 of them, we drew 8, we lost 16, we had a goal difference of -20, and we finished on 50 points. So once again, we have finished miles off the top of the table. Not like we would be challenging anyway. 38 points off of that. But the good news for us is that we actually finished 22 points away from relegation. So we were never ever at doubt at any point that we would be in the Premier League and finish the series as a Premier League team. In the FA Cup we were knocked out in the third round by Chelsea, and in the Carabao Cup we were knocked out in the second round by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's have a quick look at the schedule then and see how we got there. Once again, you're going to see that there was some good football played and there was some terrible football played. So we actually started off the season in brilliant form. Wow. We lost 2-1 to Manchester City, which was expected, and then we beat Brighton 1-0. Lost to Liverpool 4-3, and then went out of the FA Cup, the League Cup. But then we went on a mad run where we beat Leicester 1-0, beat Villa 1-0, drew 0-0, drew 1-1, beat Middlesbrough 3-0, and then in October we had 3 1-1 draws that included one against Chelsea, and then we beat Norwich before it all kind of went wobbly. Going into November, beat Norwich 2-0, lost to Arsenal 3-2, lost to Southampton 2-1, beat Brentford 3-1, and then in December, once again, just like the previous season, it kind of fell off. So lost 2-0 to Crystal Palace, lost 5-1 to Newcastle. Did have a 1-1 draw with Manchester United, but then got absolutely torn apart by Manchester City. Lost 5-0. Lost 3-1 to Bournemouth, but did beat Middlesbrough 1-0. As you can see by a lot of our victories, we weren't scoring goals. We just could not get the ball in the net. Into the new year then, started off the new year with a 4-1 loss to Everton. Not fun. 3-0 loss to Chelsea, and a second 3-0 loss to Chelsea in a matter of days as we got knocked out of the FA Cup. We then though picked up 6 vital points by beating Bournemouth 2-1, and a game where it absolutely exploded. Duffy got a hat-trick, Beveridge, Tavernier and Franson all scoring as we beat Brighton 6-3 out of nowhere. Into February we didn't win a game. Highlight of that was a 1-1 draw against Manchester United. We beat Brentford 3-2 before losing to Arsenal 3-0, Southampton 3-0. We won, and then going into April, we actually went on a 3-game unbeaten streak where we beat Southampton. We then drew 1-1 with West Ham. We beat Norwich 3-1 in games where we started to play some impressive football. We did have to have a switch up of tactic though to kind of invigorate us. However, that all come crashing down as we played Liverpool and got absolutely destroyed 6-1. We then got 6 points against Aston Villa, winning 2-1, and Wolves 1-0 just to take the spoils in the Merseyside games. However, going slightly north, we lost 4-0 to Leicester as the season finished on a sour note. But still, as I said, it was good enough for us to finish in the Premier League and be a Premier League team at the end of the series. If we go in and have a little look at some of the stats then, this season, discipline wasn't such a big issue. We didn't have as many yellow cards or red cards, luckily. Quite strange, you'd consider or you'd think that we'd have a worse goal difference with less men on the pitch, but no, we kept more men on the pitch and still had a terrible goal difference. But shout outs here go to Duffy, who managed to get himself 19 goals. Edmonds got himself 12 assists. So there were a couple of standout players in a bit of a mediocre season. If we look quickly at the finances, what would happen if we was to carry on forward? So there's 54 million in the bank again, and I do think had we have started and got this done a little bit quicker, there would have been chance to go on. I got carried away in a couple of episodes previous where I was going about Champions Leagues and things. I think we are about 3 or 4 seasons away from that, but certainly if we're being backed with that kind of money, there was always the scope that if there was the chance to do this and carry it on, there really would be the chance to go out and start causing some damage in the Premier League. Looking at the Club Vision tab, so once again the board are in a takeover, and as I said in the previous episode, if we look at the club info now, we're actually playing our games at Villa Park. We are renting Villa Park, or ground sharing with Aston Villa, due to the fact that our actual stadium has been partially demolished and they are extending the stadium, so we have had to go across the city and play at Villa Park for a while. Not the most ideal of things, but I suppose a 42,000 capacity stadium means that the club can be earning more money than our 12,000 seater stadium. But we finish off with our job security being secure. We get a B from the board in the final season, and we have pretty much hit all of the targets that they asked us to hit, including working with the wage budget, spending the original transfer budget, play possession football, play attacking football, play entertaining football, high tempo, and making the most of set pieces. Looking at the supporters, we get a B from them for the final season also, and once again we hit most of what they wanted in that. So quickly going through the squad planner then and showing you how we have finished up in terms of the team. So in fact, let me show you that first. So the tactics now actually moved to a tactic called MHSC34, which was a tactic that I tested previously on the channel. If you want to go and see that, check it out. There's a video dedicated to that tactic. It's really good. But yeah, we had to change, so we had a more structured midfield and we had a bit more of an attacking threat. As I said, we scored 6 goals against Brighton after switching, and it was kind of up and down as to whether it worked or not. But back to the squad planner then. So our assistant manager says our best 11 is Bruninho in goal, Murphy, Doyle, Siui, O'Keefe, Giulietti, Tavernier playing as a central midfielder, which is strange because he kind of wants to play as a left winger most of the time. But we've got Springett, Beveridge, Edmonds and Duffy. If we go to the other report and look at the best 11, so it's Bruninho, Murphy, Doyle, Siui, O'Keefe, Giulietti, Tavernier, Springett, Beveridge, Edmonds, Duffy. Looking at the players in purple then, if we were to continue on, so Collins in goal, Pippin, Eddie Valdo is still at the club, although in fairness, because he's an absolute nutcase, we managed to loan him out to Shrewsbury, where he played 42 games somehow, which is amazing, considering he never wanted to play for us, but he's happy to go to Shrewsbury and play every single game in our league season. Matthias Nora, Amika Sampson, Elijah Field, Elaine, Vitor, Reese, Phillips and Garcia. So bit of an improvement on the previous season in terms of the players that were coming through, and I do think that if we were to start, or if we were to continue the game, we would start to see the benefits of a lot of those players that we brought through as youngsters. Final thing to check then, if we go to the club info, we can have a little look over here at what we have achieved. So Sky Bet League 1 2027, Sky Bet League 2 2025, the Vanarama National League in 2024, Papa John's Trophy, we won that in 2027, and the Vanarama National League in 2016, so that actually wasn't us. But every other piece of silverware apart from that original one is something that we have won. It's been absolutely fantastic along this journey with Solihull Moors rising up from non-league into the Football League. The process of going up into the Premier League has been fantastic, really enjoyable, and it may be something to look out for in FM24. Who knows, I may come back one day and restart the legacy of trying to get Solihull Moors to the Premier League once again. But if you've been with me across the entire journey, I cannot thank you enough. Please stick around for FM24. There is going to be a lot of content coming. I can reveal exclusively on the Solihull Moors save that the beta will be AC Milan, And then once we go into the main game, it will probably be Shonan Balmare once again, because I've been to Japan, and now that the J-League is licensed, I will go back there and do a revisit of the FM22 save. And then I will also possibly be going to West Bromwich Albion too. So a lot of rebuilds and let's plays, those kinds of things coming soon. There will also be some tactics videos dropping. There's other Wonder Kids. There'll be a whole host of content coming onto the channel around the time of FM24's release. But if you are here, once again, thank you so much for watching the entire series. It's been a really fun journey. If you can hit the like button to support the channel just that little bit more. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do subscribe so you keep up to date with all of the content that will be coming for FM24. For this one though, that's a wrap on a series, and it's also a wrap for FM23. This will be the last video for FM23. It's been a great journey. Hopefully I'll see you soon on an FM24 video.